Hey everyone, it's your girl Alfia. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. You don't want to miss any of my updates. As of May 8th, 2026, Betty Broderick has sadly passed away. Let's get into it. So, A Woman Scorned. I can't remember if I watched this when I was younger, but I just recently watched it. I think it was for the first time. I can't even remember because I've watched so many movies, and I'm pretty sure you guys are aware of the movie called A Woman Scorned, the Betty Broderick story. It's a book too also. I believe Betty Broderick wrote the book. Now, if you're not familiar with the story, this story ends very sadly and very tragically. Betty was a beautiful woman that was married to her beautiful husband for 16 years. Then one day, a lady named Linda came into his life, his assistant. Now, mind you this, let's go down memory lane. Imagine you working hard for your husband, making sure the house is taken care of, the kids are taken care of, and putting him through school, not once, but twice, and holding a house down, and holding about 3 or 4 or 5 jobs down, making sure that you guys are surviving. And he and you finally get to live the dream life that y'all been dreaming up for years. When you said I do, for better or worse, and he sits you down one day and say, hey, I want a divorce. What can go through your mind with a man that you have spent 16 years and given him 5 children, but only 4 survive? Can you imagine the pain, the agony that Betty went through? Now, I will say this. From the movie's perspective, I know that sometimes they can't tell everything. And there's so many different stories I have heard. And I will say this. Was Betty wrong for taking 2 lives? Well, I'm not justifying what she says because I am a firm believer in, thou shalt not kill. But I will say this. A woman scorned that has put up with so much BS and has dealt with so much, and we'll never probably know the whole side of the story. There's always 3 sides to the story. It's yours, mine, and then the truth. The stuff that I saw in the movie, people saying that Betty was money hungry, I felt bad for Betty. But before anything, before the people that were offed and Betty, I feel bad for 4 kids. They lost both parents that day. Betty was so far gone. My heart goes out for her. Now, I am a firm believer in everybody I know. Some people was feeling bad for the mistress, Linda, that was killed. She was a young secretary that worked for Dan. And some people will say she's innocent. She's not innocent. Now, did she deserve to get offed? Well, I don't think so, but I will say this. There were sides of stories that I've heard that she said, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. I do feel bad for this because I will say this. I am never on a woman's side that steals a married man. She was wrong. Messing with him, and I believe they were messing with each other before they even got married. They were trying to say, no, he wasn't or whatever. Yeah, he was, because in the movie, she was getting paid more than other secretaries that had been with Dan longer. She had a bigger office. And she told her sister in the movie, basically, I love Dan or whatever. And, we get each other or whatever. And I'm just looking like, honey, that's a married man. Do I think Betty went too far? I think she did. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. Now, I'm going to say this is just from the movie. I didn't read no story from this part, but when she said she wanted to off herself in front of them, I'm going to go ahead and say I think she went in there and took off both of them. Now, they said there was harassment going on, that they were harassing her, and I know she was harassing them for the movie, but I will say that it made like Betty was like the worst person in the world, like she was money hungry, and she was after the money. I'm going to go ahead and say I believe that she was mistreated. I really do. That's why when I watch movies, I go in and wish that they would tell like the correct stories. Because I will say this woman was scorned. She was with a man for 16 years. Now, am I justifying what Dan did? Absolutely not. And then when she dropped the kids off one by one to their house, at the house when he left her, and she couldn't see her kids. This is a woman that knew that eat, breathed, worked, and was around her kids. Dan was trying to build his career, and she had to take care of him. So, I mean, she had every right to drop them off, because it's just like, okay, I did this, and now you want to leave me. And some people was like, well, she had $16,000 a month. Looking back at it and how the economy was, I know it was way different than it is now, but I will say this. Who's to say she was with that man for 16 years, got $16,000 a month? And I will say this, when it's going to end up drying up one day, like to the point where he was not going to take care of her no more. Yes, he bought her a house. Yes, he bought her a car. He made sure she was okay. But I will say this, how can you go from being in love with somebody that supported you, that was rocking with you, and you just leave them for somebody younger? And she said, like, stuff he would say she was fat, she was this, she was that. And looking at the pictures of the real Betty Broderick, and what she looked at the time, I know they probably did make fun of her, and they probably said a lot of things about her, because I think I read somewhere where they said that Linda sent her some stuff for some workout stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, what? Why would you do that? You are a whole mistress. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. Betty Broderick looked better than Linda did when she was younger. I was looking at some of the pictures and I was comparing and contrasting, but it was just like so sad, y'all. It really was sad. And they said that she went up for parole a few times, but I read somewhere on TikTok, a young lady said that, I think it was her aunt or somebody that was roommates with Betty in jail, and she came back from her hearing, and she was like, Betty, how did it go? She said, I told her I had no remorse. She said she would do it all over again. And I'm like, wow, what really happened in those tragic days? I know I want to do some more deep diving into what happened, because it was so sad and tragic that two people lost their lives all over a woman that messed with a married man, and then he decided to leave her, his wife of 16 years with 4 kids, and get a divorce and go be with her. And I'm not justifying neither one, because Dan and Linda are both wrong. And Betty, I wish that somebody could have tried to really got to her. Yes, she was, I'm going to go ahead and say it, yes, she was wrong for killing them, but I don't know exactly what happened. But I'm also say this. If they were attacking her and she had nobody, and I'm going to go ahead and say he was a powerful lawyer, so he had connections. So poor Betty, she didn't get what she really deserved. So it's really even sad, y'all, and we're even talking about this, and people are saying, because even when on the internet, people were saying R.I.P. to her, this is the real person, and this is really, really sad. And some people was like, I don't feel bad for her because she brought it on herself. She didn't bring this on herself. For 16 years, she was married to a man. I'm not justifying for what she did, but I will say this. A woman scorned, and I'm going to go ahead and say it happens today, even in the 2000s, the 2026. You can help build a man up, and he will leave you for somebody else, and that's not fair. Can you imagine just sacrificing your life for X amount of years, and then one day he says, hey, I don't want you no more. I'm good. And he goes and marries somebody that he told you do not worry about. And it's just sad, y'all. And I wish that Betty could have got to see the light of day. And some people's like, she didn't need to see the light of day. She actually did. I believe, and from the movie I saw, I believe there was something really wrong with her. I believe that she had gone insane because of this, and she didn't know what else to do. It was sad that she didn't get to reconnect with her children. From the movie I can see, I don't know if they ever reconnected while she was in prison or what. I really do feel bad. My heart goes out to the kids more than anything. Before Betty, before Dan, before Linda, the kids, because she had 4 beautiful kids, 2 older daughters and 2 younger sons. Those kids lost their mom. Her daughter had to testify. Both her daughters had to testify. Neither one of her sons testified, but her daughters testified. Can you imagine the woman that raised you, that you called mom, the one that you loved, the one that you have cried on her shoulder, and you had to sit there and testify about her? And just the things that you saw your mom go from happy to sad to enraged to scorn to crazy to it messes up a child's mind. And people are saying, oh, Dan and Linda didn't deserve this. Before anything, those kids did not deserve this. These kids grew up without a mom and a father. My heart goes out to those kids. And I hope that they got the closure that they got before their mom passed. I hope they had still continued to have a relationship with her. I don't know how that went. Because in the movie, Dan's brother had his 2 younger sons. And my question would be, I wonder why the sister didn't have no sister. But I know she probably wanted to live her life, but I always wondered, like, did she get to get them afterwards? I don't know. I want to do more deep diving into Betty Broderick's story and more about what transpired. Read the book and everything else. But what are your thoughts? What's going through your head when you heard about a woman scorn the Betty Broderick story? What was your take on it? Do you think that she deserves? Do you think that when she was alive, do you think that she deserved the maximum sentence? Do you think that she deserved to get out on parole? Do you think that she needed a second chance? I'm all for a second chance, because I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm not God. So I can't put nobody in heaven or hell. So I will say this. I believe that if you ask God for forgiveness, he will give you forgiveness, because that's what the Bible talks about. But people want to sit up here and point fingers and be so judgmental to people. We can't judge people, because we are not God. Because we sin just like everybody else do. Even if our sins, there's no sin that's smaller or bigger. But I will say this. With this type of story, what I take from this story is marriage is hard work. And I will say this. You gotta keep God first in a marriage. Now, I'm not saying they didn't keep God in their marriage, but I don't know. But I will say this. I really do feel bad for Betty Broderick. And I feel bad for those kids. I feel bad for Dan and Linda, because of y'all caused this pain. And I will say this. I wish that things could have ended differently for everybody. But once again, universe takes over. But I hope you guys have a wonderful Saturday or a wonderful day whenever you watch this video. But if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. You don't want to miss any of my updates when I talk about any of the movies, the shows, or just anything random. Thank you guys so much.